Dude, I was repositioning myself behind the desk and I just slammed my fucking knee into the corner of the desk. It hurt. It was disorienting. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Brass Tacks Podcast, episode 36. We are your hosts, Rick and Adam. I'm Rick. That's Adam. And we are coming back on a beautiful Friday, waiting for this rain to get in, start, really helping us relax in such dire times, But are you all situated, Adam? You got your Twizzlers and everything?
I don't eat Twizzlers, so yeah.
That's not true. You ordered like 5 pounds of Twizzlers.
They work for me, so.
I don't know. I have a feeling Daddy's over there dipping his hand into the Twizzler stash.
When I was younger, though, I did use Twizzlers. I'd bite the top and bottom off and use them as straws.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's just plastic. So, it's fucking plastic candy.
It is it's basically plastic candy, yeah.
When I was a kid, I have impulse control problems now, as we all know, considering my considering my past dalliances with alcohol and whatnot. But when I was a kid, my dad's always been a big fan of licorice and shit like that, so he always had a ton of licorice around, those big tubs that you can buy. But one night, man, I don't know what my problem was. I was just I had a real sweet tooth, which was which was weird for me.
Not to delay, but you remember Sweet Tooth from that Sony game with the cars?
Oh, Twisted Metal? Yeah, dude.
Sweet Tooth, man, he was good. That was a good guy to have, to use.
Yeah,
for Twisted Metal, dude.
He was also just the creepiest looking shit. And as a kid, you're like, oh, that's fucking edgy. I gotta have that.
I wonder whatever happened to that.
I don't know, because it was such a popular franchise, I feel like. And
dude, they had a Twisted Metal, I think a Twisted Metal 2, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, what happened?
I have no idea.
Tight.
I feel like the last system there was a Twisted Metal was PS2 or something like that.
You're right. Yeah, I mean there was Warthog was the other one I can remember.
Yeah. Dude, it would be cool if in this new this next gen of consoles that are coming out at the end of the year, that would be sweet to see another Twisted Metal title, an online multiplayer, just fucking battle royale type of shit.
Oh, well, I'm going with the new Xbox. Whatever the highest performance Xbox is, I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have the advantage in teraflops and things like that.
I love that word.
I know. Well, teraflops have been around for a long time as far as processing power.
Right.
But yeah, that has the highest amount of teraflops. Really good, components compared to the PlayStation. I mean, this may be a
landslide.
It might be a turning point because Xbox always never had the best components compared to PlayStation.
Right.
And PlayStation for a long time always had free online gaming. I don't think they have that anymore. I think you have to pay. I don't know. I haven't had a PlayStation in quite some time. But.
Yeah, I think you're right about that though. But yeah, that was a huge selling point for them for a very long time. And I know that some of the games in the past, some games would require a subscription fee of some sort. I think Final Fantasy 11 way back when required some kind of yearly thing that you paid, but whatever. So getting back to the licorice thing, dude, I just engorged myself on licorice one time, and I wasn't kids just shouldn't be constipated, but I was for 3 days, and I just remember I was so put off by licorice after this, but for 3 days I just could not poop, and I had to go to school, and it was so uncomfortable. My stomach hurt. I didn't want to eat anything, and finally it just all fell out one day, and I felt that relief. But ever since then, dude, I haven't touched licorice. You won't see me get near it. It's kind of in your college days, you overdo it with a certain liquor or a certain beer, and it just puts you off that forever.
Yep.
Same thing. I had a horrible experience with Southern Comfort one time, and I have never drank it since. And this was basically, I think I was 18 when this happened, but we were all it was me and a handful of friends, and we had just gotten plastered outside this developing neighborhood. It was just a bunch of construction sites, housing frames, but there was a basketball court and a playground that was still intact. So we would all go out there and party, and just sometimes we'd sleep in our cars and shit overnight. So I'm in the back of my buddy Smitty's truck, and I'm falling asleep. The sun's just coming up, and out of nowhere, I wake up and just feel the need to vomit, and I just projectile vomited up to the front console, and then I had to open up my book bag, and I just repeatedly, I mean, for at least a good 10 minutes, was just throwing up like crazy inside my book bag, and it ruined my copy of Grandma's Boy, which I carried around with me everywhere in case I ever got stuck at somebody's house and needed to entertain myself. But yeah, I had to throw that away. I had to throw the book bag away. And then also there was like a bag of weed in there that I just covered in vomit.
Well, I have a few questions. One,
yeah.
Were you outside when you were puking in your...
No, I was in the back seat of this truck, and my book bag was the closest thing to me, so I opened it up and just started firing off into the book bag.
Okay, so that was your last resort. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, suffocation, no breathing.
Table on delivery.
But yeah, that was so yeah, ever since that night, never again did I ever touch stupid ass Southern Comfort. It's just not for me.
Well, you know the cool kids call that SoCo.
I thought that was also, isn't that also like an abbreviation for Southern California?
I don't know. I don't go to California. I don't care about California.
Have you ever been to California?
No, not for a vacation purpose. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never been in general. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is as far west as I've ever gone. And I've only left the country one time, and that was when we drove through Canada on a road trip with my family, and like my dad was freaking out about McDonald's French fry prices in Canada.
I think you mentioned that before. Like, yeah,
he was losing his mind. I can't wait to get the fuck up out of this country and fucking try to fleece me on these fries. They think I'm stupid, and I'm like, everybody's like, all the families just looking at him, freaking out. Like, you kind of aren't doing yourself any favors right now in that regard.
What are you doing, eh?
Hey, that guy's over there acting hard over some French fries. Get back in your
French fries. Get out of here.
Yeah, why don't you get back in your car acting all hard like that and get back to the States, bro? Fucking get a wicked hard slap shot right in your gut.
Back to the licorice. Licorice will definitely bind you up. I guarantee.
Bind you up.
It'll bind you up. It's
like a hard bag.
It'll seal that butthole up tight, dude. But I'm assuming it was red licorice, right?
Yes. My dad liked black licorice as well.
Okay, I was just about to ask, who eats black licorice? What vile creature has decided it's a good idea to chomp on that garbage known as black licorice?
I have known so many people to eat black licorice, and I don't understand, because both flavors, like any flavor of licorice I've ever had, taste like absolute asshole. And I would rather eat roadkill or something that's been necrotic for a number of days before I put stupid fucking licorice in my mouth. Like, I don't like the hard texture. I don't like that it tastes like
black licorice, Richard. Black licorice is 10 times worse.
Fucking yellow dog.
Yeah.
No, it is worse.
It's awful.
It almost tastes like it tastes like if mouthwash had come out in the early 1900s. I bet that's what it would have tasted like. It
tastes like a perverted version of some kind of medicine that you would have to take.
Yeah, dude. Snake Earl.
Yeah, that's garbage, dude.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't understand. It just seems like such an old timey thing to enjoy eating, but people still buy Werther's Originals and shit like that. I'm sure Ricola is not going out of business anytime soon.
Werther's Originals are reserved for 70 plus. That's understandable. They have to keep their mouths.
Yeah, matures. Hardcore matures.
Well, let me ask you this though. Back to the Twizzler thing. Was it in fact Twizzlers, or was it, what's the other brand?
There's so many other. There's like some knockoffs.
No. There's another brand.
Oh, you're thinking of they call it something ropes. Yeah. Something ropes. I don't know. I don't care enough to Google it, because it's just actually, all right, fuck it, I'll Google it. Why not? We're here.
I'm
what
curious.
Else are we doing? Let me see. Licorice. I also don't like the way that word's spelled. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like
Licorice. Oh, they're called red vines.
Red vine.
Yeah, that's it.
That was the other version. There was red vine and Twizzler people. Now, the biggest difference, Twizzlers, you can make a straw out of. Red Vine, you're just you're taking in. There's no other thing you can do.
Yeah, it's just a solid. It looks like, you know what it looks like? It looks like a really long pencil eraser that hasn't been chopped up into its like functioning size yet. It's just terrible.
That's exactly what it looks like. Yeah, I was always obsessed with erasers. I was very compulsive or like OCD as a child.
Autistic?
Yeah, like I needed like mechanical pencils, and I would only write on like engineering paper.
Oh, like the graph paper
really
kind of?
Yeah, they're in squares, yeah.
Yeah.
And I always needed to like have a really good, like I could erase really good.
Yeah, yes.
Like that.
Like the Ticonderoga pencils, that was like my go-to back in the day.
Good pencil.
Yeah,
That's a
man.
good pencil. And at some point, I had a earth science teacher.
Was she like a hippie or
before? We called him Coach Pete. I think I did mention Coach Pete before.
Oh, okay.
Not my favorite science teacher. Mr. Locke was probably my favorite science teacher. The dude was a fucking animal. He was awesome. But this guy, I never really put anything together and then he called me out one day. I'd have my agenda. I would put everything. I didn't realize this. I just did it. Because you go into your class, I would put agenda and I would line up all my highlighters, pencils, and everything all in a row.
Yes, dude. Me too.
I would make the structure in front of me.
Yes.
And like, he was the first person to point it out because he's kind of a cunt.
Right.
I'm like, well, why are you pointing? I'm like,
yeah, don't single me out, asshole.
I'm like 14 or 15. Yes, I'm obsessive compulsive. That's why I put this stuff out like this. But he called me out and I'm like, oh yeah, I do this.
You should have been like, I'm going to bring a gun to the school. Because that always goes over so well.
School shootings weren't as popular. I mean, this is obviously post Columbine, but it kind of dwindled after that.
It wasn't fashionable anymore.
It wasn't fashionable at that time. It came back into fashion, just like all fashions do.
Right.
I mean,
it came back with a statement. I mean, with a purpose. It was pretty intense.
Yeah. But the best part, I remember because I was pretty good at soccer. I was at this regional tournament, and we reason to call him Coach Pete. He had a daughter that was younger that went to a different school district, was pretty good at soccer. So he was at the same tournament riding his fucking bicycle around. Oh. So there was this ditch that he was going to ride down and come back up on and try to be like a cool dude. Fucking wipes out, falls in the ditch, and just with like, there's water in there and everything. And then my whole team, which we all know him, is just laughing. This fool.
Yeah.
He was a fool. Like, that's one of my childhood memories. That's pretty funny, but
I wanted that story to veer off into like he came down the hill and like, he busted his ass super hard, but he hit his head on a rock and was face down in this puddle and didn't get back up. And we just sat there laughing and laughing. It's amazing.
We had figured we should probably call an ambulance, so.
Yeah, so we waited 10, 15 minutes. He didn't get up, and we decided to make a move. Quick egress down the street to the local Denny's.
No, this was a huge complex, so there was like tons of soccer fields all over the place. Like there was tons of games going on, but yeah, it was hilarious. It made me so happy at that point. I was so fulfilled watching this fool just try to be cool.
Yeah.
And just, dude, don't try to be cool.
Exactly.
That's my advice. Don't try to be cool. No one's cool.
You're not cool. You're not cool at that age either. If you like, once you hit your
cool ever.
Once you start getting up into like the man of a certain age range, you got to stop trying to pull off fucking stunts. And and who cares if a bunch of stupid kids think you're cool? Fuck them. They're dumb. I'm never gonna try to be that guy who's like, oh man, there's some kids, I should try to fucking do a sick kickflip or some bullshit like that. Roll my ankle. Yeah, looking like an asshole. I rolled my ankle and got beat up by some punks in front of a Wegmans. Trying to look like a badass out there. But
wait a minute. Well, you just mentioned Wegmans?
Yeah.
Why did you mention Wegmans?
It sounds funnier than saying like Walmart or something like that. It's a funny sounding store.
No. How do you even know what Wegmans is?
Oh, because of fucking Opie and Anthony. They talk about that store. I know that we never had one in the region I was in, that I grew up in.
Oh, okay.
But I was Wegmans is like a funny sounding name, kind of like Wawa. I could have said in front of a Wawa. That would have been funny too, you know?
It may be hilarious, but Wegmans is probably the best grocery store. Oh, that was a best grocery store on the face of the planet.
Really? Like better in terms of like selection or just
Richard, they have consistently been voted one of the best places to work by, I think, Forbes or whatever, like multiple years. This is the grocery store that pioneered great grocery stores.
God
there
damn.
would be no Whole Foods. There would be no all these, or I prefer to call it Whole Paycheck, but yeah, Wegmans, dude.
That's topical.
You get a sub at Wegmans. It's a real 12-inch sub. It's not like a thin ass, Subway. It's fucking real. Ah, man.
It's a hot grinder.
But I know Wegmans has creeped down into North Carolina, all the way down into North Carolina. So, you may have some family members up there that I'm sure may be aware of in North Carolina.
North Korea.
Kim Jong.
Yeah. R.I.P. But dude, get back to like science teachers. I guess like that's just something. Maybe that's just like a trend, because I had like around the same age, like 11th grade, I had a science teacher that was like constantly out for me. Like, you know how you ever have those teachers that like you kind of see they single a kid out and like that's kind of just their bitch for the year. Like,
sure,
I was that guy apparently, or so he thought. He thought I was that type of kid to take that kind of shit from people. Like, so he would always like kind of do things to pick on me and shit like that. And he was just this real kind of douchebag, pithy, elitist, kind of everything he said with a very sanctimonious tone, and was just like, oh, better than you type of mentality. So he was always picking on me, and he would do the same thing. Like I got in trouble one time because I wrote in cursive. I've written in cursive since I started writing. I've never not written in cursive. And it's been a reoccurring problem my entire life. Like, he's not the only teacher to have a problem with it. Like, from 3rd grade on, I had probably been reprimanded for writing in cursive like 3 or 4 times throughout my entire school career. But I digress. This guy always had.
You don't digress. First of all,
I don't.
You should be writing in cursive.
Shut up.
Go ahead.
Whatever. You can't write in cursive. That's the only reason you have a problem with it.
Correct. It's for fools.
It is not. It's for learned men of status, and you're just not one of those people.
What are you, Shakespeare?
I've been told that my speaking pattern is Hemingway-esque. Oh shit!
No, that's not true.
Michael Vick just pull up. Jesus Christ! But so this guy would basically do the same thing, because I had the same mannerisms and tendencies. Like, I would organize my desk. I've always done the same thing with my food too. Like, I arrange my plate very specifically, and I do the same thing with like my notebooks, my writing utensils, and things like that. And so he would call me out about certain stuff like that, and he would make fun of me for like being very organized and shit. So I started doing this thing where every time we had a presentation, he was like one of these guys that like post 9/11 was super like all about America, was like fuck anyone from anywhere else and shit like that. So what I did was I would sneak Osama's image into all my projects. Like, if we did a PowerPoint, I would make sure I had a little clip art page of Osama, and I would click through it really quickly, so like you would only see it for a split second. The whole class would bust out laughing. He would stop everything and start yelling at me. And I did.
Really?
Oh yeah, I did this like 3-4 times in a row before finally he comes up to me during my lunch break, and he's talking to me, like makes all my friends like leave the area, and he's like, "Look, I'm gonna let you know right now. You pull this shit with me one more time. And he goes, let me be clear. This is not a threat. This is a promise." Trying to be a tough guy in front of a teenager. He goes, "I'm going to call your parents. I'm going to call the principal. I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to push to have you removed from the school." Because I was going to the fucking academy at the time, and they could like kick you out and make you go back to your stupid school. Mm-hmm. But now I shouldn't say that. Like, Myrtle Beach High was really fun too. That was actually a really fun school to go to. But he starts threatening me like that. So I was like, all right, dude, let's play this game and see what's up. Because I was cool with the principal there. Like, my parents and my teachers had like a good relationship. I didn't have a problem with anybody except for this fucking guy. So he was out one night. Or I mean, not night, but he was out one day, and his stupid TA was taking over. And his teacher's assistant, this was another thing that bothered me. She wasn't like your average 20-something-year-old teacher assistant who's getting ready to become a teacher. She was like some late in life, like, I'm bored and my husband's always working, so I need a career now, like middle-aged broad that like just wanted to fucking enforce something. Like she wanted to feel control over something. So she was just as bad as this teacher. And I pulled the same shit. She came up to me before we started giving our presentations and she was like, look, just so you know, I'm aware of the whole Osama bin Laden situation. That's what she called it. And she was like, and I've been instructed to enforce what Mr. So-and-so told you previously. And I was like, all right, understood, won't be no problems. Sure as shit. First image, dude. Like before the title of the actual thing I was presenting, first image, plain as day, that fucking Osama image where it's like him full body staring off into the distance with like that weird look on his face, like just that vacant look. And she immediately slams her binder on the desk and she stands up and goes, that's it, outside now. And it was one of those fucking portables. So I just walked outside and she was like, I'll deal with you.
Portables?
Yeah, like those kind of like outside the main building, those little portable like trailer things that you can turn into classrooms.
No, they don't have those in the Northeast, buddy.
That's probably fair. Yeah, so that might be just like a deep south thing.
There's a winter. Yeah.
But so basically I'm standing outside that thing and then I realize I'm like, what are they really going to do to me? So I just walked off. I just walked off and left school and I just walked over to my buddy's house, just smoked some weed and chilled out. But the next day, of course, there was some major repercussion. Like the teacher was back in and he freaked out on me. They called my parents and to his dismay, literally nothing happened. I just told the principal I wouldn't do it again and he was cool with it. And he was like, all right, man, that's cool. It's good enough for me. And the teacher was like just super pissed off. I ended up transferring, got a different teacher, had a way better year because of it. But I don't know. Maybe just science teachers at that age range are just cunts. Who knows?
Well, we're going to redeem science teachers.
Okay.
With this. I agree some are cunts. I went to public school.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go to these charter schools or whatever academy bullshit you're talking about.
Shut up. You're a charlatan.
However, very lucky that my chemistry teacher was an awesome dude. My mom actually knew him. Like, no, I mean, he grew up in the area. The dude was in gangs and stuff as a younger child.
Oh, so he had lived a life. He had context and reason to be a person.
And became a chemistry teacher later in life. But dude was fucking awesome. One of the funny things, he would have coffee. He had like a protruding gut at this age.
Oh no.
At this point. So he would always rest his coffee on that. It was hilarious. He was actually when he was in high school, he was like a great wrestler. He was like a state champion and stuff.
He was a bottom.
No, pretty good wrestler and stuff. But so people who aren't from New York State don't know there's what's called Regents exams. These are for public schools in states that have actually some form of intelligence.
Yeah.
You go to a lot of states outside of New York State, they don't have like very challenging high schools. Thus, we have products like Rick. But
go fuck yourself.
There's Regents exams, which are accelerated exams. So I had to take the physics exam, which he was one of the graders on this. And my physics teacher, I'll just say her name. Miss Wood, younger lady.
Was she fine?
This was very bizarre. She was a younger lady who had a mustache, who didn't care. She she knew she had a mustache because she was pale. She was pale, and she was like more of like an Italian, northern Italian, not Mediterranean.
Right. She kind of had that translucent olive skin.
Yeah, and just had a mustache, long curly hair. She was actually a good looking woman,
right?
But she had a mustache, and she didn't give a fuck. Which meant she probably had armpit hair, and she probably had a huge bush.
God bless her, I guess. But
she might have been a freak, dude. She also was a manager at Blockbuster because teachers didn't get paid a lot at that time.
Right. Well, I mean, shit, probably they still don't.
Yeah, I was just going to say probably now as well. But she was kind of a cunt. She was a bit cunty because she was cunty because she has a mustache. She probably can't get laid.
Yeah, she's grinding up against a lot of furniture.
She could just wax the mustache, and she would be a 7.
Yeah.
So, but that's her problem. But we would always fuck around in her physics class. Like, I remember me and my other buddy was Ukrainian as well. We had to make rockets, hydro rocket, like hydro-powered rockets. And we just fucking wrote all of these swear words in Ukrainian on there. She had no idea. It was hilarious. But she knew something was up. But she's not. This was before Google. Google didn't exist.
Well, it's like, what are you going to do anyway? Who cares? As long as you're the one. I mean, it's for you anyway.
The rocket took off. Shut up, bitch.
Yeah.
But anyway,
fucking mission accomplished.
Yeah, we had to take your physics regents. So you have to get a 65 or above. So I'm like, all right, I'll answer just enough questions to get a 65, and I'm fucking leaving this testing. You have to sit in the gymnasium. Everyone's in the gymnasium, like it's timed. I'm like, I'm just gonna get a 65. Why am I wasting my time with this? So Mr. Locke, which is a fucking cool ass motherfucker, was
cool
also
name too.
He was a proctor at the exam as well. It's a huge gymnasium, but so you can raise your hand, and a proctor will come out. And like this motherfucker, I'm like, hey, I'm not sure about this. This motherfucker was like, hey, you might want to check that answer.
Oh shit, he was telling you?
He was telling me what questions I had wrong. I'm like, I didn't even ask you, dude. I was just asking what this is saying. But he was just like, dude, he was doing this to everyone. He was helping everyone out. The dude was a fucking... this is all bullshit anyways.
Just walking around resting that hand on his gut.
Right. But
every time he walks by, you're just like,
food, all right.
Yeah, pretty much. So we conclude the exam, and I go home, and I go back to school. I'm talking to him because I would kind of shoot the shit with him and a couple other people.
Yeah, treat yourself like I like teachers that see their students as like peers, like you can bounce ideas off each other, you can fucking hang out and just be normal people, not have a weird wall.
I was an athlete, so you maybe got a little more freedom anyways.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's true. Yeah, athletes always do get a little bit more leeway in certain scenarios.
Yeah, but he was like, me and Miss Wood were debating because they both have to grade them over your total score.
Yeah. Where's Miss Wood?
There was this one fucking physics question. This cunt was a written response, and I said the right one response, like written out. And she's like, "Oh, I don't think that's complete enough." And Mr. Locke stepped in. It was like, "No, that's fine."
He big leagued her, dude.
It was a difference between a 63 and a 62. It was a 2-point question. He gave me the 65. He thought it was fucking hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Well, he didn't care because I literally I just answered enough questions to get a 65.
Right.
So he thought it was hilarious that I just did that in general.
Yeah, you're just being a fucking smart ass.
Yeah, so he overrode her.
Overrode?
Yeah, overrode her. That's it. Right. I'm not really proving my higher intelligence.
Yeah, I was about to say, dude.
Hey, I went to public school. But whatever. Dude, my SAT scores
was 700.
No, it wasn't 700. It was 1350.
Yeah, that's about mine.
I scored terrible on like the language arts component. I'm terrible at English, but either way, he passed. Like I would have passed the class, but I passed the regents, so I got a special diploma. But sorry, I wasted everyone's time with that terrible story.
Very special.
Yeah. But there's some cool teachers. There's some like pretty cool science teachers out there, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree. I agree.
Even in public school, I was lucky. I had really great teachers for being in a public school. Public schools suck, dude.
Yeah.
They're terrible. And come on, man. You have to have teachers that care in a public school.
Yeah.
And it's rare, man. And I was very fortunate through my whole, from elementary to high school was just there was a lot of shitty teachers, but there was some really good ones that cared.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there was some fucking weirdos that have 2 apartments, one just full of World War II Nazi memorabilia.
Paraphernalia. Adam also forgot to mention that his diploma came with a helmet and a lot of foam padding for the edges and corners in his household. Was that
a special diploma?
Did the diploma squeak when you squoze it?
Squoze it.
When it was squoze.
I don't think that's the past tense of squeeze.
I think it is. You can goggle that. You can check me on that, because unlike you, sir, I do excel at the English language arts. I am not so good with numbers, though. That's where you're the yin to my yang. You're like the math whiz. You're the math magician of the Brass Tacks Show. I'm a complete
idiot when it comes to like, I don't like to read books unless they're like nonfiction. Like
I thought you liked historical fiction where Hitler actually wins.
No, but I only read
bad man.
Like, if you look at the books I have,
yeah,
they're all actually textbooks that
The Secret.
College. Oh God, no, that's a language arts book.
What a pile of shit that book was.
That's a pure fiction book.
You got to make what was it called? You got to make a vision board.
I don't know. Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, put your visions on something. Come on.
Yeah, I would make one, but I really don't need a giant poster of like money next to a giant pussy on my wall. No. I'm pretty sure I can remember those 2 things throughout my daily tasks and routines.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it'd be a giant pussy, right? on your board. Yeah,
it's opposite day. But let's get into
it's opposite.
Yeah. Let's get into some bad news. Goddamn.
Well, I've got some good news and some bad news.
Give me that motherfucking bad news.
Hey, give me the bad news.
What's the bad news?
Woo! Woo!
They're dead.
This whole thing fucking sucks. I mean, this is the biggest pile of shit.
All right. So we've got some extremely bad news coming out of Melbourne, Australia. There was a freeway.
That was. I feel like you should have actually said Melbourne.
Yeah.
Because a little bit ago I said Melbourne, and I feel like you adapted that because you said Melbourne earlier.
Oh, you're telling me that I just bit you? I just bit off your rhymes?
I feel like you stepped on me a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Now there's a problem. So over here in Melbourne, Australia, it looks like a 41-year-old man was allegedly filmed a dying Victoria police officer and berated her for wrecking his Porsche. And essentially what we have going on here is a Melbourne man is accused of filming a dying police officer after a crash on the Eastern Freeway and berating her for wrecking his fucking car. Richard Pusey, 41, of Melbourne there, he appeared on Friday morning facing a stack of charges, including driving with speed, dangerous, reckless conduct, endangering life, and failing to remain after a drug test had been administered. He also faced charges of failing to render assistance, failing to exchange detail, possessing drugs of dependence, destruction of evidence, and 3 counts of commit indictable offense while on bail. Holy shit, their offenses are worded so weirdly and oddly in Australia.
Yeah, it is. It's based on common law. So, I mean, we have some laws that are based on common law as well. Our laws mirror them in certain ways. But yeah, it's British common law, like phrases. So yeah, you get this. I mean, what is he doing? First of all, he can go fuck his mother. He's driving a Porsche.
Yeah,
you're a piece of shit.
No, this guy really is
fuck yourself.
This isn't the only time he's actually been in the news.
Of course, it's not.
So basically, what's going on here is Victoria police allege that Mr. Pusey. Can we just we'll call him Mr. Pusey. Victoria police alleges that Mr. Pusey was intercepted by two officers on the Eastern Freeway on Wednesday afternoon after being seen driving his Porsche 911 at speeds up to 140 kilometers per hour. A drug test returned positive readings for methamphetamine and cannabis. Two other officers.
Okay.
What?
Sorry to stop you.
No,
again.
you're good.
He's driving a Porsche 911. That does indicate something to me that here's the problem. Porsche 911s are designed for drivers, real drivers.
Right.
People who, yes, they have money, but they know how to drive a car that's very fast. This car is not very forgiving.
Right.
That's
super low center of gravity and all kinds of shit going on there.
I think it's well, beyond that, but it's known as a driver's car. They leave a lot of the features very bare boned. So, it's a different animal. A 911 is a dangerous vehicle for someone who's just rich and doesn't know how to drive, because that is a driver's car. You can get other Porsches that are, more forgiving, but a 911 is devoted to purists. So I apologize for interrupting you, but...
And Islamic fundamentalists. That was a really terrible 9/11 joke.
I think...
I'm so sorry. I wish I was in that accident.
I don't even think that's a car crash worthy. I think that was pretty good.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll keep the gun out of my mouth, that's for sure. But so...
Did you know they flew Porsches into those towers?
Those Porsches were loaded with thermite paint.
Those weren't planes. Those were Porsches.
Yeah. It's not too hard to get a welding machine and get some aluminum wheels on the side of these little bad boys. When I was the governor of Minnesota, I saw crazier things. So you go ahead and believe what you want, pal. Anyway, these so after administering these stupid drug tests, the two other officers arrived at the scene, making 4. So they were getting ready to impound Mr. Pusey's car. The 4 officers were then struck suddenly by a truck in the emergency lane, and all 4 were killed. Mr. Pusey was uninjured and left the scene, of course. The court today heard the mortgage broker from... Oh, that's another thing, too. He's a mortgage broker, of course.
Boy.
And so they're saying that they heard the mortgage broker was recorded on the body cam of a dying leading senior constable. And he was allegedly saying, "There you go, amazing, absolutely amazing. All I wanted to do was go home and have my sushi, and now you fucked up my fucking car." And so that's the audio. They don't have the body cam audio, obviously, I'm sure out of respect for the families of the victims and stuff like that. But that's what he was recorded saying.
Is he really wearing a sweatshirt with cross?
Oh, it looks like badminton rackets.
No, those are not badminton rackets. Those are old school tennis rackets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is.
When they were made out of wood.
Another thing, too, is, all right, so he's wearing a face mask, but you can tell, even without the face mask, he kind of looks like Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys.
He does.
Isn't that crazy? There was also...
What if he pulls it off? It's like, psych!
Oh, my God. Oh, that would be the shit. Turco.
And the remaining Beastie Boys come out.
Oh, too soon, dude.
He's dead.
Whoops. So there was another issue with this asshole a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Gary Busey guy is really causing a lot of trouble.
Yeah. So basically, what happened? I think this was like a year or two ago. There was another article about him getting into some issue with some asshole over a real estate deal. And the person that he was in the workings of this deal with was currently like undergoing chemo treatment and was visibly very sick from whatever cancer he was battling. And there's surveillance footage with audio of him like screaming at the top of his lungs at this guy, telling him that he hopes he dies and that like the chemo stops working and all this other shit, and like how he hopes his family suffers. God. Yeah, this guy's just a piece of shit. And I mean, obviously the dude's got money and shit, so I doubt anything's gonna happen to the guy, like aside from probably some court fines and some fees and shit like that. I'm sure he'll do a little time.
Well, I mean, it depends. It just, if he makes that comment,
right?
Is it really his fault?
Well, the thing is that regardless of why he was pulled over, the fact of the matter is that another driver that caused the incident was driving in the emergency lane and not paying attention.
Oh, okay.
So that's a huge problem. So it just kind of makes the case a little murky. It's like, you know, how much at fault is he really, and how much prosecution can they really seek out as far as like jail time and fines and stuff like that? Because as far as the officers dying, he didn't really have much to do with it aside from the fact that they had to pull him over for being a methed out asshole. But on top of it, I mean, the real wrongdoing was driving under the influence and then also insulting a dying officer, which to me is just so unfathomable to do in that instance.
It's unfathomable to do. It's deplorable. The question is, should it be a crime? And look, this guy's a piece of human garbage. But right. What I'm saying is, if he didn't, I don't know if whatever happened. I don't know what the report is on this necessarily. If he didn't cause the accident that killed that individual,
yeah, or 4 of them. There was 4 people that were killed.
Well, okay, right. So if he was not the cause of that and just made a comment on a body cam,
yeah,
in America, yes, that's a shitty person to say that. But that's free speech.
Right.
Australia is different, I'm assuming, in that sense.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I'm not defending the guy. I would never say that. But if that happened in America and he said that, well, he'd be labeled as a shitlord.
Right. It's a very good word.
He would not be charged with anything. He didn't do anything for that offense. But,
yeah, I feel you.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, I hear where you're coming from. That's a good point too, because it's tough. You know, you can actually place some of the blame, because obviously the police wouldn't have been in that position in the first place had this guy not been smoking meth and driving a Porsche. So I do kind of hope they place some of the blame at his feet, and I really do hope that this guy serves time. I mean, I in my own personal life, I would hope that somebody would just kill this guy and get him off the planet, because there's no changing people like that. This guy's like in his 40s.
You're speaking metaphorical.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, obviously I'm not ever going to like encourage people to go commit violent acts in real life, but it would just be nice if like a meteor fell out of the sky and just crushed this guy as he was walking out to his stupid car. But the dude's 41.
They get a lot of meteorites over there in Australia.
That's true. Yeah, we might not be far off. Holy crikey, hey, look at this coming right for me. My fucking car.
It's a rock.
I know, it landed on me car. But the dude's 41. He's not changing his ways. This guy's a piece of shit.
No, that's someone who cemented their perspective on something that's just poison.
100%.
You know, it's just, it's not even contagious poison. That's just poison that anyone he comes around with, besides a very surface level, superficial human being, you know, there's men and women that are attracted to that type of individual, for very surface level reasons, but those people are pieces of shit too.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
Most human beings would be like, okay, this guy's a piece of garbage. He can go fuck his mother. So
yeah, I feel you. And it's just, I don't know. I'm gonna keep my eyes open for more on this leading up to his whole like hearing and all that other shit, because I'm really curious to see if they put the screws to this guy or not. So
keep it on your radar.
Yeah, we'll be checking back with that soon. So this next article I have is very unfortunate. I've actually got I've got a video clip from it. So this was a report that Fox 5 did in Washington D.C. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play this audio clip, and you guys can check out what's been going on over here. And this is centered around something that happened at a D.C. public charter school board meeting. And they were hosting, basically this meeting was being hosted on a Zoom conference, and it was open to the public. So here we go.
Well, wait. Before you start that.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh, well.
What's up,
might as well mute and get Zoom. A lot of people are having issues with that because not like
privacy issues and stuff.
Exactly. The privacy issues with that. They share everything about the people that are on there. I mean, if you're a competent corporation, you don't even use it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, so if your friends and you are doing stuff on Zoom, just know your privacy is compromised in a lot of ways. Is it a free service, Richard? Do you know?
No. So basically, it's free if you want to join a meeting. You still have to make a profile, but there is a paid subscription service if you're the one hosting the meeting. So there is some money exchange. But recently, they just kind of beefed up their security for the site because there was a massive outcry after the recent vulnerabilities and shit like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've been working really hard recently to kind of beef up the security and make sure that they close a lot of those openings that these people were getting into. So that's encouraging. Gotcha. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, like me and my friends, we do a Zoom meeting almost every week and like just hang out and fucking talk to each other because, we're all scattered across the country at this point, but we all grew up together. And
you've been exposed.
Yeah, yeah, we're compromised. But here's the clip from this meeting. This is just terrible. Oh, whoops. I gotta get that volume
New tonight, what was supposed to be a virtual board meeting for D.C. public charter schools Monday was interrupted by child pornography. Someone hacked into the meeting and played the illegal video in front of parents and even children.
Oh, my God. Evan Lambert That is fucking terrible, dude. And of course, the fucking website. I bitch about news websites all the time, and this is a huge reason why. Every time you go to play a stupid fucking video clip on one of these sites, they always fail to load because they have to constantly bombard you with ads and all this other shit. So, you can't ever get the full fucking story out of any of these people because you constantly have to be bombarded with their stupid ads. And look, let's see if it'll load again. But chances are it'll want to play another ad before it plays the actual video.
There you go. Warsh.
Yeah, this is why the mainstream media sucks a fucking dick. And every single fucking person, every single fucking person that has a hand in ruining these media outlets deserves to be dragged out into the middle of the goddamn street and fucking executed in front of everybody. You're a piece of shit if you're the person fucking bombarding the public with ads for your stupid shit that has nothing to do with the news.
They can't make money anywhere else, dude. They're not getting views. They're not getting anything.
Of course not.
You know what I mean?
I can't stand it, dude. Because I read the news every day, and it's discouraging.
Sorry, I was watching that video.
Yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for it to catch up to where we were. But it's discouraging because you want to stay informed, but you also know going into it that you're going to have to do research on your own because you're never going to be presented with the truth, no matter what outlet you go to. And on top of it, now we're worried about them. They beg for money on top of bombarding you with these fucking ads. How much money do you need to keep spinning out the same horse shit? Get the fuck off my screen if you're not going to deliver your fucking main service. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But they're garbage.
Evan Lambert is live in Northwest tonight with the story. Evan?
Sean, two people who attended that meeting say that the video played for about 5 minutes.
That looks like Brendan Schaub.
Before someone could actually end the meeting. About 100 people attended that Zoom meeting, including parents
stupid
with their children.
Cauliflower
now, this
ears.
was first reported by
the meeting
Washington
lasted
Post. Here is
5 minutes.
That meeting typically looks like. It's
and the erections lasted
in person, usually
10 to 15.
There was a lot of viscous white substances in the sink found in the bathrooms after there, Terry. So we're just kind of looking out for the public and wondering who would commit such an atrocity.
At a charter school in the district, it's a school board meeting open to the public. But because of coronavirus, the meetings are happening on Zoom. This is one from last month. People attending told us last night around 7:30, someone started playing the child pornography for everyone in the meeting.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
If you're a parent that is so active in their child's life that they're going to attend the board meetings of your school, and this is not speaking even with it when there's a virus going on, you suck. All right.
I agree.
No parent should be that involved in their school Obviously, everyone's going to say the opposite, but you go fuck yourself. If you're like, oh, there's a school board meeting today. Oh, we better get on that Zoom meeting. And you're an asshole.
And
you're an asshole.
What's more is let's interrupt my child's life and make them sit with me through this boring piece of shit meeting that nobody wants to watch. It's stupid.
Yeah, I have nothing to do in general. Right. If I had a kid and we're in this virus arena and we have nothing to do, we got to hang out with each other. I'm never saying, hey, there's a board meeting tonight for your school. Let's watch that on Zoom.
Yeah.
And get involved. No, I would rather fucking play jacks on the ground, or I'll fucking roll some dice.
Clickety.
And I may,
I'm always down for some dice.
Oh, let's read a book, which I would never say, but yeah, like, I'm going to attend the Zoom board school meeting.
Yeah, get the fuck out of here.
No one is doing that. I definitely know that would have never happened in my household.
No, God, no, dude. Are you kidding me?
They would have never said if this technology, they would like, no. They never watched the school board meetings.
There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way this would ever happen in my household either.
If you could access that from your house, they'd still be like, no.
Yeah. So. Exactly. It's just horseshit. But my thing is, like, I feel like the people attending those meetings and stuff like that, that's the minority of people, because I feel like most people send their kids to public schools or any kind of school, and on top of an education, expect these educators to essentially help raise their children, which is a huge problem that we face in America and is a huge common misconception with people in terms of like the point of public education in the first place. It's just something that I've seen throughout my life, and I know it continues to this day. Like parents. I'd say for the most part, most parents are fair weather parents, I guess I would say, for lack of a better word or term.
Well, I mean, come on. I mean, you gotta think about it.
Considering all the shitheads you see running out there.
There's a lot of shitheads, but like, you can't be fucking. As a parent. Most parents, I'm not as a parent myself, obviously.
Well, you don't know that.
No, if you're a parent, well, that's fair. But if you're a parent, one, in today's economic environment, I don't even mean virus economics.
Right, just in general.
I mean, even pre that, both individuals have to work.
Right.
There's no choice. So each parent has to work 8 hours or more a day. So, you get home, you have to trust the school district that you're in to do the right thing.
Right.
And we often find that there's going to be a gross manipulation of what's going on in those schools, because they know most parents have to work. There's not a mom home or a dad home, one of them home all the time, so they can this is not the 50s. So all these schools just fucking exploit that and do all this bizarre shit anyways.
Right. And that's the thing too, is you see people that like are child predators, like they always work their way into a job or like a volunteer position where they work with around children. It's textbook. And I'm sure I would put money on the fact that whoever did that wasn't a student playing a prank. That was probably just some sick fuck who is associated with the school or the board in some way doing something gross. Because I mean, it's funny when you read it in a headline, but if I were sitting and I had my child, like I would never attend a virtual meeting to begin with, but I would also never involve my child in a virtual meeting. But if I had children, but second of all, I mean, I would be horrified if my child ever saw something like that. There's no way to undo that once it's been seen. And to try to contextualize it for a child, that's ridiculous. Like I'm sure there has to be a way that they can trace back and figure out who the fuck did this. But I mean, that's the thing.
I mean, potentially. I mean, maybe, right?
If the guy's got a VPN, it would make it a little harder, but it's not impossible.
Right. You have a very good point. I mean, even if they have a VPN, they can probably, depending on the VPN provider.
Well, we have to mention that, anything involving CP or cheese pizza is going to be a federal issue. And I feel like that's when the FBI gets involved, and they're going to have a sophisticated enough system to backtrace that type of shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's weird. They don't really give much context other than it was child pornography.
Right. And that, well, I mean, there is still a little bit.
What was, I mean, there's no context to that.
Well, there's still a little bit of the video. I didn't watch all of this, so we can listen to some more of this and see if they give any more info.
Before it was stopped and the meeting was postponed. That meeting was not password protected, and the information on how to access was posted on the charter school board's website. We asked a cybersecurity expert about how this could happen and how to prevent it.
You can go into the settings and make sure that the audio can't.
His name's Reginald Corbett, and this guy looks goofy.
he's a fatter gentleman.
He looks like fat Spike Lee, and he's wearing like a denim long sleeve shirt.
I don't know if he looks like fat Spike Lee. He looks like a fat guy.
He looks like fat Spike Lee with those glasses on.
All right.
He should be wearing a distended Yankees hat.
No one can use their audio, or no one can use the video without permission or without raising their hand during the meetings. It's new to a lot of people. You have people who are just jumping on Zoom and just going right in without changing the default settings. So things like that will cause situations to happen like last night.
The charter school board said in a statement, in part, quote, "We have consulted with Zoom and will use new safeguards to ensure this does not reoccur." It's been reported to D.C. police and the FBI. Our cyber safety expert also weighed in on how to protect your kids in general, who are spending much more time online
you gotta hide
during pandemic restrictions.
That's why I don't want to have kids, dude.
Well, exactly. Somebody's always trying to fuck them. I mean, it's terrible.
Right, but now there's like all this technology integrated.
Right. Like, yeah, you cannot monitor 100% and expect there not to be some fuckery going on, because as we know, I mean, even if kids don't mean to get themselves into trouble, they get themselves into trouble. And the internet's one of those wide open spaces that, there's a lot of fucking trouble lurking around the corner.
Right. But dude, we didn't exist in that world. When I was a kid, there was no fucking internet like that. We went outside. I'm not trying to talk. Oprah's like, we went outside and fucking.
Aunt Adam's going to tell you about his day.
Tree forts or something. No, I'm saying we went outside. Well, there wasn't any internet. We didn't have a choice. We went outside and fucking got in fights with kids and stuff, because it caused problems like that. And then whatever, you hang out with your friends or whatever. But now it's like you could, dude, I would be a piece of garbage if the internet existed from my inception as a child.
Dude, we would have zero social skills. You realize you and I were forced to grow up with social skills and stuff like that. Like you and I, if we were given the free range of technology that we have now growing up, I would have been a complete shut-in. You would never see me outside. I don't like people. I don't like being forced to work around people. But
look at
luckily,
me now, dude. I don't want to be around anyone.
Yeah, and luckily I had a dad who would literally, I mean, this is quite literally, he would tell us to go outside, and he would just, like, as I'm walking out, he'd be like, "Yeah, I got to fuck your mother." And I'm just like, okay, great, So he'd push us out, but under the pretext of him needing to pop off an anxiety and nut or whatever.
Drop a load,
Yeah, whatever.
Make sure that they are monitoring this child's activity. Make sure that those parental settings are in place, and manage the screen time.
What?
And in a statement, Zoom said that it is terribly sorry to hear about these incidents.
He looks like he's trying not to laugh.
They've added new security features, a lock button that's in the upper left-hand corner of the screen that you can easily access security settings from. Back to you.
Okay. I mean, that seems a little too little too late, but I mean, Zoom is not performing up to the standards at which I think a company should be performing at. That's just insane that somebody would be able to freely roam in, throw some shit up there like that, and then just escape unscathed. And I mean, I kind of want to think it's a prank, but like, you don't go and search out and possess that type of material for a joke. Like, that's not fucking funny. And it's probably, like I said before, it's probably like some creepy superintendent who thought it was funny, and now like there's all this investigating going on around there, and like I bet the local
if it's a creepy superintendent, that's a problem, because that's guy's usually not a creepy superintendent. He's probably a fucking pedophile.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the thing, is like, how many of them are like, they're like sleeper cells. You never know where they are or who they are, and it's like all of a sudden all the students in your school district are walking like cowboys and nobody can figure out why. It's like, that's why right there, fucking creeps like that.
I know.
Yeah, this is a pretty bad one. So 4 men confine a woman in her home to rob her of her stimulus check, police say. The woman whose house was broken into told police the suspects were aware she had received her check and intended to rob her. And of course, this was in Indiana. This is only something you would expect out of Indiana or like Florida. But 4 Indiana men who allegedly broke into a woman's home and confined her for hours to steal her stimulus check have been charged, police said. I'm going to skip all the names because it's just stupid. Who cares? It looks like they were all taken into custody Sunday after the woman reported that she had been the victim of a crime. They were each charged with burglary with a deadly weapon, armed robbery, criminal confinement while armed with a deadly weapon, and burglary of a dwelling and residential break and enter, court records show. So 5:51 a.m., this chick she went to the actual police department and reported she was held against her will at her home for 4 hours by suspects, all of whom she knew. And according to the police, the suspects were aware that she had received her stimulus check and intended to rob her. She said she woke when the men broke into her home around 1:30 a.m. One of the men immediately grabbed her phone to prevent her from calling 911. Another had a gun, she told police. The men eventually left and told her not to go anywhere because they would be back, police said. Once she was sure they were gone, the woman told police she drove to the police station to report the crime. The suspects were located a short time after, and now the suspects are being held at the Lake County Jail on $75,000 bond. So that's just silly. How could you expect to get away with such a crime? But then again, I look at the picture and there's a neck tattoo involved, so you can assume.
Is there really a question?
These all look like guys I went to high school with. This is terrible. Yeah. These are the guys I still see walking around my old neighborhood when I go back home.
You see those guys walking around and here.
That's true. Yeah, good point. There's scumbags everywhere.
Yeah.
But first thing is like, how do you intend on cashing it? How do you intend on, you're splitting 1,200 4 ways, risking life and liberty.
Look, it's a get rich quick scheme. Clearly these guys are going to be the next Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, it's going to be a big, it's going to be a big move for them by getting the stimulus check, dude. But also, wouldn't they be getting them as well? I'm going to assume these guys may not be working. So
I think you could assume right. This guy's got 2 neck tattoos. One that was done it looks like kind of okay, and then another one that looks like a prison neck tattoo. Stop getting neck tattoos, people. What are you doing? Who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to fucking imitate? Like what's so original about that? Like that's why I have tattoos. We both have tattoos. We don't actively go out trying to get more. We get tattoos when it's something that is unique, I guess, to us or like to our situations and shit like that. I don't think either of us would ever run out and get a sweet neck tattoo that says like Thug Life or some shit like that. It's
no. It's the same with head tattoos, face tattoos. You ask the same kind of question like, hey, what's going on here?
And I understand you shouldn't be judged on your appearance. And I have a lot of friends that have said tattoos that are decent people and fucking awesome, but like they're not the majority. You know what I mean? Most of the time when you're dealing with these like drugged up people with like their neck and face tattoos and stuff like that, you're generally dealing with somebody who's not giving the rest of the community with tattoos a good name. And that's the problem with a lot of like subculture like that, like piercings and tattoos and stuff like that. Any type of body modification, it's a fucking cool concept. I've always been into that kind of shit, but like these assholes just really fuck it up for the rest of us.
Dude, it's just trash leading trash. I'm sure that chick was probably trash too.
Oh yeah, she knows them personally.
She knew them. They knew her. This is it's trash. It's all a intertwined.
It's a trash
love. It's a love. Yeah.
It's Garbage Island.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck them. So moving right along. So revealed, leader of group peddling bleach as coronavirus cure wrote to Trump this week. Mark Grennan wrote to Trump saying chlorine dioxide can rid the body of COVID-19 days before the president promotes a disinfectant as treatment. We are living in a bizarro world. This isn't even like, I know we've said it a million times, like this is truly, like the truth is truly stranger than fiction at this point, stranger than friction. But
it's not stranger than friction.
It just gets more and more bizarre as the days go on. I mean, it's almost like at an hourly rate that you can expect some kind of crazy shit to be happening.
I'll be honest with you. I want to spend more time on this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to dive into this because I have a lot to say about this.
Well, I mean, you can feel free to speak on it.
No, I mean, no, because there's more to it than, a 5-minute conversation about it. I think if I get into this is like geopolitical and
right.
We're in a whole different realm.
Well, we can always save it for for next week. We could even, if you wanted to, we could even meet up again tomorrow and do a little something.
We could do a special cast actually tomorrow, starting with this. I would like that.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
If that's possible.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
Because I want to, have people have a decent amount of segments.
Oh yeah,
in comedy.
And I
don't want to wear them out because this is going to be. I could probably spend 30 minutes or more on this.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, you don't want to. You definitely like this is something that needs to go into detail. And
well beyond that.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to leave the listeners wanting, as it were.
Well, I just don't want to. No, I think we should get into this. People should be able to hear a little bit more of a deeper explanation on this. Not even this, but I think a few other stories.
Yeah.
That may be important this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think, this is
extremely important.
Yeah. This is definitely a good week to kind of do an extra show, kind of maybe bring the audience a little more in-depth information on stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, what else are they going to do, man? No one's eating each other's ass at this point.
Yeah, exactly. It's
maybe they are actually. Maybe people are eating each other's ass.
I would hope so.
If you're quarantined together, and I mean, two asses together, you might as well eat one, man, I guess.
I feel like it's more likely that everyone just hates each other right now, that you being stuck in the same environments with one another, and monotony breeds contempt.
Well, then asses need to be eaten.
I agree. When in doubt, fuck it out.
When in doubt, eat ass out.
I like that. We'll coin that phrase.
That is not a medical advice. You probably shouldn't, but.
Thank you all for joining us for another installment of the Brass Tacks Podcast. It's been a pleasure, and like we said, we'll be coming back tomorrow with another installment. So if you have any suggestions or anything you want to see us talk about on the show, make sure you drop us a line at therealbrasstacks@gmail.com. And I'm probably going to kill myself for saying drop us a line. I just realized how fucking ridiculous that sounded. But until
that's Zach Morris.
Until next time, stay safe, remain at a safe distance from one another while still respecting one another, and go fuck your mother.
Well, I gave my speech on eating ass.